Semitic Magic, Its Origins and Development by R. Campbell Thompson. I guess we're dividing this into an E or maybe an F. Bring a censer and a torch. Scatter it in the street. Surround that man with meal. Perform the incantation of Eredu. Invoke the great entities that the evil spirit, the evil demon, the evil ghost, the hag demon, the ghoul, the fever or heavy sickness which is in the body of the man may be removed and go forth from his house. Takvis translates Honig, but this cannot be correct. In the grammatical text K246, two unclean substances are mentioned: Li, Sha, Ina, Zumre, Kupuru, paralleled by Akalu, Sha, Zumur, Amele, Mushudu. The latter must be food, which a man's body has expressed, less probably rejected, vomited, and hence the former must have a meaning, at least, in connection. Kupuru is, as is now unnecessary to explain, make an atonement, and the li is constantly used in connection with it, as hence we may try a tentative translation. Refuse, which is made an atonement for the body of a man. The sense of this last passage becomes clear from the present text. The kid, or of, thou hast taken out of the heart, becomes food, unclean, with which thou shalt make atonement for the man, bringing a censer and a torch. Scatter it, the unclean food, in the street. Another such is the tablet T, line 38. Akala li ena bakbade shu, shukun ma, set refuse food at his head. An additional argument for the meaning of excrement is found in Maklu 887-88, tablet number 2, Kurumate Ita'an Salam Amalu Kashape Usat Kashapte Akal li Upushma Lebe Kurumate Suruchma, the double sh, the kashapt. Make 2 meals of dung, 1 each for the figures of the sorcerer and sorceress, and make invocation over the food. Talkvist, translated Make vak lekkerhafter nahrung, but this seems less probable. Hostile magicians in effigy are not treated well, and the most abominable food is set before them to drive them away. Delicacies are more likely to attract them than to attain the desired object. The directions finish with the injunction to place these meals right and left to them, repeat an incantation, and then give them to the dog and, female dog. In an incantation against rheumatism, the priest, PSBA, February 1908, the priest must put 1 ga of leaven on the shashur reed, and put the sick foot thereon, and make the atonement for the foot with the li, refuse, of the leaven, and then again use appears to be pregnant. It will become refuse when it has done its work. Kuchler, in treating of this word shortly in his Assyrian Babylonian Metazin, translates it by do, which seems less probable. The evil eye which has smitten the patient is thus exercised. The roving evil eye hath looked on the neighborhood and hath vanished far away, hath looked on the vicinity and hath vanished far away, hath looked on the chamber of the land and hath vanished far away. It hath looked on the wanderer, and, like wood cut off for kindling, it hath bent his neck, Ea hath seen this man, and hath placed food at his head, hath brought food nigh to his body, hath shown favor for his life. Thou man, son of his entity, may the food which I have brought to thy head, may the food which I have made an atonement for thy body, assuage thy sickness, and thou be restored, that thy foot may stand in the land of life. Thou man, son of his entity, the eye which hath looked on thee for harm, the eye which hath looked on thee for evil, may Ba'u smite it with flax, may Gunura smite it with a great oar, like rain, which is let fall from heaven, directed unto earth. May Ea, king of the deep, remove it from thy body. And thy foot stand on the land of life. See Jeremiah 11:19 for something similar. The ceremony is so similar as to be worthy of careful comparison of what occurs among the Malays. Whenever a person is suffering from the influence of a waxen image, the Malay magician rubs him all over with limes in order to cast out the mischief. These limes must be of 7 different kinds, and 3 of each kind are necessary. Yeah, there used to be a lot more varieties of the various fruits that people eat. When they have been obtained, he must fumigate them with incense and repeat a charm overnight. Early next morning, 3 thicknesses of birra leaves must be laid down for the patient to stand on during the lustration, and the limes are to be squeezed into a bowl and used partially for washing and partially medicinally. The trash of the limes after squeezing is wrapped up in a birra leaf at evening and either carried out to the sea, into which it is dropped, or deposited ashore at a safe distance from the house. This trash must be the la'u or akal, le'e, unclean food of the Assyrian incantations. In the case of headache, sympathetic magic forms the treatment. A hat of reeds is to be put on the man, and the pain demon will be absorbed in it. It is then broken, and the baneful obsession is dissipated. Modernly, I saw this guy talking about the pain body, and I guess it's a separating of the pain body. Also, let's put this pain body over, make this the pain body, is what they're trying to do. Placebo has quite an effect, doesn't it? Take a clean reed and measure that man, and make a reed hat, and perform the incantation of Eridu, and make the atonement for the man, the son of his entity, and break it upon him, that it be his substitute, that the evil spirit, the evil demon, may stand aside, and a kindly spirit, a kindly guardian, be present. And another Assyrian text, which is part of the 7th tablet of the Shirpu series, hitherto wanting and unknown, 7 loaves of pure dough form the medicine to remove the taboo. After various ceremonies with these, the magician makes an atonement for the man who has fallen sick, and puts his spittle on the atonement. The atonement, the loaves, is then to be carried into the desert into a clean place, and there, under the low thorn shrubs, which are scattered over such places, it is to be left. The clean place has already been recognized in the Hebrew ceremonies, but there is still more curious survival of the Assyrian charm in the Hijaz at the present day. Zwemer tells of a tradition there, and if a child is very ill, the mother will take 7 flat loaves of bread and put them under its pillow. The next morning, these are given to the dogs. Denanu, it's the substitute. Lawrence of Arabia, maybe? What's Arabia? 283. Other instances are given of casting bread to the dogs after a spell in Mesopotamia are given on pages 169 and 204. A parallel occurs in Exodus 22:31. And ye shall be holy men to me, and therefore ye shall not eat any flesh that is torn of beasts of the field, ye shall cast it to the dogs. There is a theory that the flesh that is torn is the flesh mangled by wild beasts, which are supposed to be forms of jinn. Well, jinn are non-physical entities, but Hence is the motive in both instances is practically the same. The bread has absorbed the taboo of the sickness devil, and the torn flesh has become contaminated, taboo, by the afreet of the jungle or desert. Food is supposed to be dedicated to God, whether it's a sacrifice or not, and other things may have their influence, right? With regard to the use of bread, there's a curious story told by Baldensperger about the stones called the Farde, north of Beit Nuba, which are traditionally a petrified procession. A woman was just putting her dough into the oven, and a procession went by. She took up her child, and finding it dirty, wiped it with a loaf of bread and threw the bread away. The sacredness of the bread turned the whole procession, man and beast, to stone. In Sale's Quran, the preliminary discourse section, Al Mostatraf, it is related that a lump of dough was worshipped by the tribe of Hanifa, who used it with more respect than the Papists do theirs. I'm not sure where George Sale gets it. There's probably a good reason why he's the only one who mentions it. Why they're quoting him instead of someone else. Presuming not to eat it till they were compelled to by famine. Again, the sect of Collyridians, Collyrdians, Collyridians, perhaps, in Arabia, introduced the Virgin Mary for God, or worshipped her as such, offering her a sort of twisted cake called a kalarius, like the Sabbath bread. Compare the making of cakes to the Queen of Heaven in Jeremiah 7:18. On the sanctity of bread, C.T. Wilson's Peasant Life in the Holy Land, 54. Its use, especially in the form of paste or liquid, is frequent in Assyrian inscriptions, particularly to make the circle which is taboo to evil spirits. It is almost unnecessary to quote the leavened and showbread of the Old Testament. The influence of this can be shown in the Talmud, that the direction for searching the house on the eve of Nisan 14 to see that no place contains any leavened bread. Pesekim 1:1, 5:1, Schwab. On the sanctity of the bread in Macedonia, see Abbott, Macedonian Folklore, page 103. And the next cuneiform atonement is one of great interest that goes into details much more fully, and don't think we have time for that, but